Hey everyone, welcome back to the Shared Housing Academy. We have decided to start dropping this 15 minutes around shared housing tips and the conversation and homelessness and what's happening out in the streets. Julie, of course, is here with us, and she is a retired police officer of 26 years in Illinois and still a part-time detective. And so we want to today focus on an article in the conversation around corporate housing, low income and no income housing, and versus single family. And so, you know, we're going to start being real raw on all of our conversations, whether we're interviewing people and they used to deal drugs and they've changed their lives, and we're talking about weight or even guns. This is the real stuff. We want our channel to be real. This is just the nitty gritty. And so this particular episode, though, is going to focus around funding and taxpayers and nonprofits and all kinds of grants that go into putting together low income housing. And so if you are a mayor watching this show and you have the ability to, give out money, or if you are a grant manager or a donor and you have the ability to give out money for people who are struggling with drugs and alcohol or some kind of recovery, or you just want to get involved with Katie's House Foundation, we want you to consider, would you use that money for a large commercial building, converting a hotel into a homeless shelter or a low income apartment? Or Katie's House Foundation, our model is single family houses. So we would take a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and we would probably finish out the garage and turn it into a 5th bedroom. Or maybe there's a second area. But anyways, we would basically put 2 people in a room. And so let's say it's a 4-bedroom house and we have 8 people living there. The management can manage 8 or 10 people. And in our case at Katie's House Foundation, we have a live-in house president who gets their own room. And so let's start talking about this article. Julie, from your time being a police officer, just real quick, give us your 2 cents or, something while I pull up this article.
Yeah, so basically this article, is going to touch on the issues that arise in not just an area where there's a dense population. So in the area that I was working, there were a lot of multifamily. There were a lot of area where the for every acre there was a 600 unit apartment building, maybe 2 acres, but you times that by 2, you got a lot of people in one little area. And then you've got single family housing on the other side of the ball, and that is an acre of lot, and you've got 4 people to 8 people right in that area. And what a difference it makes for not only their environment but the environment that they're trying to recover from, right?
Hey, Julie.
So
Julie, sorry to interrupt you. I'm not following what you are explaining right now, and I'm not super thrilled with the intro into this video. Can we just
okay.
Can you share with me? I didn't follow.
Well,
So I
so
can't.
basically what I'm going for is the more people in a small area, the harder it is for people to not get into more of a yeah, I wasn't going in a great direction, like specifically short and sweet. So so basically, to make it short, it's the more people you put in an area together, the harder it is for people to try not, to try to stay out of trouble, or to not get into a situation where there are going to be, people that misbehave and put other people at risk.
Okay, so let's talk about that specifically. All right, let's try and keep it. We're just going to restart.
Let's just start over and just start over with this, just like you have it pulled up already. Okay.
So
I'll smile.
Okay, ready. Hey everyone, welcome back to the normal. Oh, we're not on normalize. Okay. Smile. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Shared Housing Academy. This is episode number 2. We decided to start dropping this 15 minutes on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Arizona time. So please subscribe to the channel. And if you are part of our Shared Housing Alliance or you're taking our classes because you're an operator, make sure to tune in. This episode, though, today is actually directed at all the mayors out there who are listening or the people who are funding low income housing. And so that might be nonprofits who are actually on a mission to raise money and give that money out to Katie's House Foundation, for example, and you want to learn about what's the difference between a commercial building doing low income housing in a converted hotel or commercial building versus doing a boutique shelter like what Katie's House Foundation, our model is, where we take a single family home and turn that into a boutique shelter. And so we're going to jump right into this article here, and it will say, a $28 million low-income apartment complex descends into chaos in just 2.5 years. So I have JulieAnn, we call her Jay Gunfire as well. She is a police officer for 26 years, now retired, and I'm going to let her, just rip into this as far as what she has seen out there on the street.
So welcome everybody. I'm glad you're here. It's very important that we look at the situation here. I mean, this complex alone is probably, I can't imagine if you put 2 people in each of these units, how many units they totally have, right? So you could look at having 600 or more people, and this complex may not even be within a half acre, right? So the smaller your area is and the more people you put in it, the more likely you're going to have a problem. Me just reading this article makes me think that they should have their own police department, right? It's just it's a recipe for a lot of people in a small area that already have a lot of issues, and they're just going to be sucked back in. So at Katie's House Foundation, when we have the ability to put those people in a normal neighborhood and within the same environment that they want to thrive in, then it's a win-win for everybody. What did you think of this article?
Well, I think when you read something like tenants let homeless friends in from the street who shoot up in the stairways, sleep on couches in common areas, smoke fentanyl in the elevators, and vandalize plumbing. They pound and pry at residents' doors. People defecate in the stairways. And this reporter observed this happening, or, the remnants of this. And so, I've actually read this entire article, and the property manager who is assigned to manage this particular low income apartments, it turns out, it says in here that they don't return, they don't answer the phone essentially about problems at the Bury building, and that there are a lot of emergency calls and, stabbings. Someone goes around.
I can only imagine. Yeah, I can only imagine the amount of city dollars that are getting pumped into just trying to keep this under. I mean, it's almost like a neighborhood that's gone bad, right? I mean, so there's got to be a lot more than just this complex, and the thought process behind it when they were developing it. And I know a lot of cities nowadays are in areas outside bigger cities are not allowing some of the bigger apartment complexes because of this. Now, I worked in an area where I had one that was not as bad as this one, but it was a difficult. It's still difficult to this day. So I obviously feel like what we're trying to do and the outreach that we're trying to make is gonna be able to go a lot further for a lot longer. And instead of just having people come back into the system, that it's going to actually make a difference later down the road.
Well, I would agree with you. I think that having a single family house and allowing two people per bedroom who, basically want to either all get sober or they've been sober for a year, or even it could be a mother and her kids or a father and his kids, or you might have a husband and wife in one room and their two children in another room, and they would have two rooms out of the four in a house. And so we call those boutique shelters. And what happens at Katie's House Foundation is that we would also have a live-in house president, who they live there, they pay rent, but they also, when things break, like a refrigerator, or when somebody tries to use opioids, or comes home completely smashed, they would call the police. And there's no hiding in a commercial hallway from the police in that scenario, right? And so it's much easier to manage a boutique shelter. And for that reason, the people can get better. And so when you have 8 and 10 people that live in a house, a beautiful house, and they're available. We have right now, we in San Diego, California, where in a lot of places they say, oh, there's no housing. That is not true. We have plenty of houses, like the shadow inventory, or even on market, that we can lock up right now today at Katie's House Foundation. And we can have people off the streets or out of detox and into these houses. And you're not going to put, 50 people in a commercial building that can't be managed because half of them want to be sober and it's an affordability issue. And then the other half of them, it's also an affordability issue, but maybe they don't subscribe to the rules and they are using drugs or they're relapsing. And, commingling that many people, it just never works, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, it from my experience working, and the average call volume that I would take was twice as much as a residential area, and I had mostly apartments, townhomes, and multifamily units. So I think that, when it comes to grant funding and when it comes to outreach, I think sometimes people try to take the shortest route, which is where can they get their money the fastest, instead of looking at some of these other programs that are available, that it's a little bit more paperwork, but that we do like the fact that we have this investor alliance and that we have these investors that have these homes, that instead of an Airbnb where it's not, rented all the time, it's not being used for its proper purpose, that we are taking homes and making them homes for people that really want to be on their own and be in a house instead of out on the street.
Yeah. And, everyone that's listening right now, please go to katiesHouseFoundation.org and read our house rules, read our good neighbor policy, right? You might think, oh, well, I don't want a boutique shelter in my neighborhood because it's a family neighborhood. But the truth is that there's plenty of Airbnbs and people are partying in those houses versus, having one of these be treated as a boutique shelter where you wouldn't even know, it might be just family living there. As far as our good neighbor policy goes, you're not supposed to know that it's a boutique shelter because of our ability to manage things in real time, and also who we vet and let in. And then also the house security system. We have a few layers. And so, people who shouldn't be there cannot be there. It's very easy to manage that kind of a house for this purpose, and then see people get the results, where they come out of homelessness and they live in a nice house and they take pride in that house and they take pride in their new life. So we're going to wrap this up right now. Julie, I appreciate you being on with us today. And, if you are in charge of funding and you really want to see that money have a long-term impact all over the United States, please pick an area, give us a call, or if you are a mayor, or even, hey, President Biden, give us a ring, because we know that you want to reduce homelessness by 25% by 2025. You're giving out millions and millions of dollars, and it's not getting you where you want to go because of this whole commercial enterprise. I will tell you, for the real quick, people that want to do tiny house villages, again, I think it's great that how roofs are being put over people's heads, but what's happening is that people can self-isolate in those tiny houses. They can still shoot up opioids and do crack cocaine. It's not a social environment. It's not a house. There's no real-time accountability and supports like there would be if you had 8 people living in a nice, beautiful shared house. You can't shoot up when your roommate.
Well, and I think the transition part, right? Because anytime that you're in that kind of environment and you're trying to get to a different environment, that transition period happens. And when there is that, they go from being on the street to just having their own little box, that doesn't solve that whole, like you said, the accountability, the transition from going from one mental state to another. So yeah, it's definitely something that we need to get the word out about, and get this funding to the right places. Let's make our dollars work for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will do that for you at Katie's House Foundation. I've been in banking for 20 years. I've handled, $500 million per year, every single year, for banks like Union Bank. And so with Julie's help, helping out with managing what's happening on the crime front, and then, our team managing so many different things, we would love and be honored if you would fund these, recovery areas. So San Diego, Phoenix, all the major metropolitan areas, please reach out to us and let's have a conversation about it. Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you next Wednesday at 5 o'clock Arizona time. Bye for now.
All right. Thank you.